a beautiful color of red.
Today we are heading in a westerly direction, north first, then west, to Running Waters. I don't know whether we're going to make it. It's 300 kilometers away, 300 plus kilometers away. And we got to take the Skull Springs Road, which I have heard is a pretty nasty corrugated road. But we'll see how far we get. I don't know whether the GoPro's going to pick it because we're driving into the sun, but these trees have got little yellow flowers on them, and there's just moths flying around everywhere.
Okay, which one is the pig?
Pig.
We just come out of the park where we've just had a picnic lunch, and the town pig has come for a little visit. Hi! Oh, he's licking my leg. Or she. Or licking my toes.
Are you getting a pig lick?
Yes, I really am. Look at the mud stuck. Oh, look at them balls. Yep, I got leg licked and foot licked. It's just like having Sunny the dog around. He's going to look in the park and see if we dropped anything. Oh God, that's hilarious. I've just looked down at my leg. Thanks. Thanks, pig.
That's disgusting.
Baby wipes are coming out now.
We're now traveling east on Skull Springs Road. We're only probably 10 kilometers or so out of Nullagine, heading towards Running Waters. The road so far has been above average, certainly above my expectations. Now the further we get in, maybe it deteriorates, but at the moment it's mildly corrugated and pretty flat, and only a few gibbers here and there to miss, and the odd creek that you got to slow down for, like this. Well, as suspected, the Skull Springs Road has deteriorated significantly, to the point where you get little signposts in the middle of the road saying, "Warning, danger."
It really isn't a two-way track. It's one way, weaving your way back and forth across the road.
Yeah, you got these washouts everywhere, and they've got sharp little pinches in them. So we're back down to maybe averaging 40 kilometers an hour. You might get up to 50 on the flat like this, but when you get to these little washout areas, you're back down again, like this one and this one. So there's just literally hundreds of these on the track. This whole area through here has been burnt at one point in time in the not too distant past, and every skerrick of sticks laying on the ground are gone, torched, and you've just got the trees remaining. And the spin effects is now starting to bounce back, but it's just cleaned the landscape up incredibly. You might see it over this rise off in the distance there. That's all been burned. Well, Skull Springs Road has slowly been wearing us down. We're down to 20 kilometers an hour, lots of washouts, and it's getting later in the day. So rather than pulling up at Running Waters, which was our choice, we are going to pull up early at Skull Springs. I didn't even know Skull Springs existed until I saw a little cross on the map. So no idea what we're getting into there, but we will certainly check it out. And then we'll do Running Waters tomorrow, just once we've been able to have a little bit of a rest. I'm getting a bit of a sore throat, to be honest.
From where?
Oh,
What?
hopefully just breathing dust.
I hope so too. We did have interaction with a pig. Maybe it's swine flu.
Skull Spring. Today was a 300 kilometer day, and that was mainly on dirt, which for us is huge. If we're doing 50 or 60 kilometers in a day, we're doing well. So 300 is next level for us.
Well, it hasn't been like, graded good dirt roads or anything.
No, it's been lose your concentration and die road.
Yes.
Or wreck your car.
The plants are trying to take over this one.
We are entering Skull Springs. as you can see by this little water crossing and this next little water crossing. Track that goes straight ahead, or?
I don't know if you keep going over the lumps or you go down the river that way.
Yeah, there's a track there down the river.
Yeah.
Let's try that one. Looks like the Georgia Swamp again.
It is. That water was kind of smelly. Mosquitoes here are going to love me.
Nah, no mosquitoes here.
Looks like mosquito zone to me. Hopefully somewhere opens up a bit, kind of gets wider.
Yeah, I hope so too.
There's nobody else in sight. That's a plus.
That is a bonus. Yeah, it's a very well used track, that's for sure.
There's a nice open spot here.
So we're tucked in there amongst the paper barks, and just across the track is the largest Sturt Desert pea that we have ever seen. Check this sucker out.
Awe-inspiring crop of Sturt Desert peas, and they are stunning. Look at these. Aren't those beautiful?
Look at the size of this monster. I'll walk over to the other side of that just to give a little bit of perspective and scale. It is enormous. Unreal.
Terry's getting a fire going over there. We're going to have our showers shortly. Very, very pretty. It's a beautiful color of red.
This Skull Springs really is a nice camp. We're nestled amongst these paper barks. We've got a nice little fire going here. It's a paper bark fire. For those of you who have burnt paper bark before, you know it's not the best wood in the world. It doesn't leave any coals whatsoever, and the bark burns like crazy. For any of the North America viewers, it's kind of like birch bark, except for it comes off in big sheets. It doesn't peel off in rings like birch bark. But have a look at it from a fire point of view. It goes up just like birch bark and coughs out that black smoke. And there's all these little rivulets and springs running everywhere down the riverbank. Very pleasant. And there are rocks underneath of all of these paper bark leaves. And Jill's having a heyday rock hunting. We're now leaving our Skull Springs camp and we're heading to Running Waters, which is only about 25 kilometers away as the crow flies. A bit longer on the road, I suppose. But this was an amazing little spot. Hundreds of campsites back here. You could camp pretty much anywhere. And nobody. We didn't meet another soul back here. So I don't know whether Skull Springs is not popular or we're out of season or... No, we're definitely not out of season.
It is a niche type camp or spot, probably. This is not a caravan spot.
Oh, hell no. You wouldn't even get a trailer back here.
No. Which, that reduces people immediately. But a rooftop is ideal back in here.
And the substrate is this nice porous rock. So you don't have to wipe sand off your feet when you're climbing into the tent because it's all nice and pebbly and rocky. I like it. Skull Springs for the win. We have now hit the turn off to Running Waters. I can honestly say that Skull Springs Road, we've been on that for 130 kilometers. I don't think that I've been on a road that has that many washouts. There would be one every 100 meters on average, I'd suggest. And it is very tiring because you're slowing down to nothing when you go through the washout, and then you're back up again to second or third gear, and then you're slowing back down again. Nice scenery, but not a fun road. I prefer a four-wheel drive track any day of the week. Like this, for example. A track into Running Waters is just this four-wheel drive track, basically. It's nothing too difficult, just windy and slow, with awesome scenery of mesas around. I'd say it's about 3 or 4 kilometers off the main road. We're now on the main four-wheel drive track that goes into Running Waters. We've stopped at the spot, or we've passed the spot where you can get trailers up to. And then this section here, you would not want to. Lots of bumps, lots of roots and rocks and mud, and pretty soon running water. Judging by the mud in the water, or the lack of it, nobody's been back here this morning. We are in running waters now, and it has got this sort of eerie flavor or feel about it, with all these spooky trees and swampy water and boggy holes and poo. I'm gonna go for a swim. Jill wants me to go in that deep little hole of death.
I know, isn't that creepy? Just go in there, Tara. There's a fish.
There is a fish.
Yeah, there's so many obstacles and stuff in this water. But yeah, beware of roots and rocks and slime and river spiders.
River spiders.
Fishy. It's very swampy. Terry's getting ready to go for a swim. I'm not going in.
I can't touch. That's 8 feet deep right off the edge. But warm. Toasty warm. Coming in?
No. No.
Not.
No. When I see scum, I'm not going in.
No scum.
Look it. I can zoom in on the scum. Look at it. Scum.
Scum.
Scum. Scum everywhere. Dried scum. Wet scum. Half-dried scum. Running scum.
I'm gonna end up stacking in the scum. Maybe up at the headwaters. Maybe that's where it's warm. I am in the waters at Running Waters. Jill is up there trying to prevent herself from slipping and falling. I don't like her chances. I think she's gonna go down before we leave. Up there are the headwaters of Eel Pool. I'm gonna swim up there and check them out. Nearly there. I can touch the bottom now. Just. This is one deep pool. And just as I say that, the bottom drops away. That is not the source of the hot water, I can tell you. It was freaking freezing rolling down those rocks. So maybe it percolates up through the ground here within the spring itself. It's a neat little spot. Very undulated ground up there for camping. So you almost need a rooftop or a swag with some sort of a, stretcher bed on it or something like that. I don't know whether you'd find a bit of flat ground for a tent. It'd be an ask. But if you come back in here, definitely get in the water and have a swim. It's very nice. I don't know how warm it would be. Definitely below your body temperature, but above ambient by a fair margin. But certainly not Dalhousie warm. Dalhousie's next level. We're not gonna camp back in here. We're gonna move on to Carrawine Gorge. But would I recommend it? It's certainly unusual. I've not been to a place like this before. It's unique. And if you are coming back in here and it's later in the day, I definitely pull up for camp. For us, it's about 10 o'clock in the morning. So very early up. We still have a lot of time in the day to do some exploring. So I suggest that's what we're gonna do. Just going for a walk through the running waters area here, the campsite in quotation marks, and trying to keep my feet dry. I'll show you what I mean.
The ground is squidgy seaweed stuff.
I am literally standing in the camping area now. It is the funkiest, spookiest, weirdest campsite I've ever seen. You got these deep pools everywhere and running streams through the roots of the paper barks. I'm gonna try and get around here without stacking and trying to keep my feet dry. Like that pool there, that's probably 3 or 4 feet deep. Unreal. Somebody has had a camp here reasonably recently. There's no heat left in that, but just looking at that ash, that's only a day or two old. And look where they camped. Must have pulled the vehicle up here somewhere. Hopefully had a rooftop tent.
I do like the little balls on the end of this stuff. It's quite cute. That's that giant pit hole. And there are fishies swimming around in there.
Well, that is running waters. That would be the most unique camping experience I think I would have ever had. We're not going to camp here, as I said earlier, because we're moving on and it's so early in the day. But my goodness, unique with a capital U. You're on a 4-wheel drive track heading into Upper Carrawine Gorge at the moment. And we're going into this kind of valley of the Mises, which is pretty cool. There's 2 Carrawine Gorges. There's the main Carrawine Gorge, which is the one that is a lot easier to access. You can get caravans and trailers in there, no worries. And then the Upper Carrawine Gorge, which is a little bit more difficult to access, but it's not as popular. So that's our pick for camp tonight, unless we get there and find out that there's some sort of ruckus party happening. This 4-wheel drive track that we're on now is off of the Skull Springs Road, and it's a proper 4-wheel drive track, but it's pretty easy. Have a look at this paper bark. It's got to be hundreds and hundreds of years old. It is massive. How long has it sat here on the edge of this river? We're going to run up and down the banks of the river and see whether we can find a camp. Well, we can definitely find a camp, but we'll pick the camps. And we'll spend the night here, I'd say. Beautiful clean waters, have a swim. Here is our Oakover River crossing. Pretty steep little bank just there. The hot springs, hon.
No, they were not hot. I saw you get in.
Trust me. Would I fib?
Yes, you would.
We're at Upper Carrawine Gorge, and we found ourselves a campsite amongst the, what do you call these guys? Paper barks, and you got one river red gum by the looks of it beside you there.
Yeah, he's seen better days.
He has, hasn't he?
Yeah.
We should keep jagging these great spots and nobody around.
It is awesome.
And if you look at this water level, and there's some water on the other side of those paper barks, it's lower than this water level. So the root ball of those paper barks is acting as a natural dam, which is an amazing thing.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm just going to stay in here, drop my core temperature down a little bit, then I'm going to come out.
Okay. That was a great update. I was riveted. Like a bug drone show down on the river. Very cool. Made. It says paradise. And here we are. I got a great shot of your butt, Tare. What's happening, Tare?
We have a couple of beautiful cuts of meat on open fire. Look it up.
Yum. I'm looking forward to it too.
And for me, not for you.
Yeah. Terry likes his very rare. I like mine medium.
Well, today is the morning when we have to leave our little campsite. We've been here for 3 days. Came here for, well, we didn't even know we were going to camp here. And we ended up staying for 3 days. It's been a beautiful spot. And somebody agrees with us. Paradise. When we were back in Carrawine, I noticed that the steering was a little bit, how do I put it? There was a mild clunk in it that I had never had before. So I climbed underneath, and this is what I found. That's our lower control arm. I replaced those the week before we left for this trip. That's the front bush on the lower control arm. There's one on the rear as well. That is completely flogged out on the front and the rear. These are aftermarket control arms. They're Super Pros. So as you can imagine, when I found that, I was not a happy camper, and there was no way that I was going to take on the canning stock route with those lower control arms in the condition that they are. So I rang Toyota in Port Hedland, and I managed to source 2 genuine lower control arms, and it's booked in to get those swapped out in the next couple of days. A rule of thumb that I've always lived by in terms of genuine parts is belts, bushes, and seals. Always go genuine. With these lower control arms, they were obviously aftermarket arms that had aftermarket bushes in them, and here I am in the situation that we're in. Should have listened to my own advice. Ah well, it hasn't stopped us from going all the places that we wanted to go. It's just meant that we've had to take it a little bit easier. We have left our lovely little campsite at the upper Carrawine Gorge, and we're heading out to the main road, and then we're going to duck back in and have a look at the main Carrawine Gorge. The reason we didn't camp there is because it's pretty well known and it's pretty easily accessible. So I have no doubt that there'll be a lot of people there, possibly vans and trailers and all the like. So we prefer the more remote stuff, as you guys figured by now, and it was a lovely little camp. But it is definitely worth going in and having a look at Carrawine Gorge anyway. So that's what we're going to do. This is the Carrawine Gorge main access track, and it's a pretty easy track. The grader has been over it very recently, in our case, so that certainly helped things. I call it a good gravel road. It certainly isn't a 4-wheel drive track, and it's very scenic coming in here. Carrawine Gorge is actually signposted from the main road as well, with one of those brownie colored signs, so you can't miss it.
Welcome to Carrawine Gorge, part of Warrawagine Station. This is a working cattle station. During July and August, there will be helicopters, motorbikes, and mustering crews in this area. Your understanding is appreciated.
Geez, we should be grateful that they're allowing us on a private property.
Yes.
They're thanking us. We should be thanking them.
It's a two-way street.
That's the main Carrawine Gorge wall in front of us. She looks like a beauty.
Waiting to see the first car.
And there we have it, our first car. And our second car. It's a massive expanse of this river gravel everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's huge.
Obviously it flows at times.
Yes, indeed. These are what the campsites look like at Carrawine Gorge. It's all sort of gravelly, and it's right up to the water's edge. And there's a lovely massive cliff on the other side of the water hole. I don't know, 100 meters high maybe? And you can swim in the water hole easily enough. You just got to wade out past the weed. It's only 9 in the morning, so we are not going to stay here tonight. We were on Upper Carrawine Gorge last night and for the last 3 nights, and I would pick that spot over this one. This one probably has the majestic beauty about it, but it is popular, so there's lots of people back in here. And it's not that private either. It's pretty open, but plenty of room. You can get hundreds of cars back in here if you wanted to. The road in here was beautiful. The grader had just been over it. There were no corrugations. It was lovely. It was 9 or 10 kilometers off the bitumen, so you'll be able to get your big rigs in here, no problem. Bring firewood though, because this place has been picked clean. We're going to press on towards Marble Bar and other points unknown. Not far from Carrawine Gorge is a turnoff, about a kilometer or so, to glacial polished rock outcrop. So we are going to check this out. It's hard to wrap your head around the fact that this would have been all under ice at one point in time. Crazy.
Where we grew up in Canada was all under ice at one point in time.
It was. There were a lot of glacial features in Canada. Where I lived, there were moraines everywhere.
Yeah, we grew up on the Great Lakes, which was all created by glaciers.
Yes, indeed it was. All sculpted by glaciers. We're at our glaciated rock outcrop, and you can see the scrapes across this rock where the ice is dragged over it and polished it. That's very cool. And it's like a red granite or a red quartz. It's hard as. All the other rock around here, is that sandstone or that, I don't know, like ocean bed stuff? With the sun on this angle, it really picks up the scrapes nice and deep. Polished clean by ice. Unbelievable.